Hey, welcome back, band family. Let's warm up today by working on the concepts that we learned last week at our lesson video, producing a sound. Before we start though, we want to make sure that we have a mirror and the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece we're going to hold with our right hand, thumb and two fingers held down at the bottom by the shank. We'll start with the M face, so grab your mirror and make sure you remember what that M face looks like. Next up, let's try the air to sound exercise. As you bring your mouthpiece up, make sure that it comes straight up. Keep your chin up, bring it in, produce your sound, come out, then come on down. Here we go. Air to sound. That's a great exercise to work on every single day because it really helps you develop the feel for how much lip pressure you need to get a sound. Next up, let's try our instant sound exercise. This is the same thing as air to sound, but instead of blowing air and then transitioning to the sound, start with sound right away. A related exercise is our jet exercises, high jets and low jets. This is the same thing as what we were doing just now with the instant sound, but we're also going to focus on trying to produce different pitches, high pitches and low pitches. To change that pitch, what we can do is use our corners of our mouth to firm up. To find those corner muscles, we tried an exercise at our lesson last week where we incorrectly puffed out our cheeks and then brought them in by using our muscles. Make sure that as you do this, don't think about sucking in your air like that to bring your cheeks in. We don't suck in as we play musical instruments. We have to blow out to get that buzz sound. So let's try this cheek puffing, which is incorrect, fixing it by using our corner muscles. So you'll notice that as I firmed up my corners to bring my cheeks in, it also caused the note to go higher. It became a higher pitch. And we can use that now as we do some high jets and low jets. To produce a high jet, it's basically the same instant sound exercise. However, I'm going to firm up my corners to get that higher note. I can also change my tongue voicing. We talked about our tongue position in our last lesson, and the idea is that if our tongue is higher up, like we're saying E, we're going to get a higher note. If we drop our tongue down, it's going to be a lower note. So if we think ah with a tongue, it's going to be a lower note. So let's try a high jet, so a higher note. Think E with a tongue and firm up those corners. It also helps to use a lot of fast air as we play those high jets. Speaking of air, are you currently sitting on the edge of your chair, sitting tall, left foot flat, right foot back? Oh yeah, make sure that that sitting position that we learned in our class video for week 1, you do that every time. Let's try some low jets now. To do a low jet, we're going to drop our tongue down like we're saying ah, and we're also going to relax our corners. Don't relax the corners so much that your cheeks puff out, and that's too relaxed. Here we go, low jets, keeping it as steady and as even as you can without making the sound go up and down and without letting your jet engines stop. And our final buzzing exercise that we're going to do today is going to be dropping bombs. This is where we transition from a high jet to a low jet without stopping the air. Think about going from firm corners to relaxed corners. Think about positioning your tongue from T to ah, T, ah. So both the corners and the tongue change. We go from high to low. Give it a shot. I'm going to add, by the way, an explosion sound at the end. You can do that as well if you'd like. Now these exercises, the air to sound, instant sound, high jets, low jets, dropping bombs, these are super important. These are going to cause you to develop strength in your face and the ability to get the exact notes you need. So these are important strength exercises that you should do every single day. It's kind of like a workout for your face. Do them every single day. Next up, we're going to learn how to assemble the horn. There's only 2 parts that we need to address as we are assembling our horns. The first is placing the mouthpiece into the lead pipe or the mouthpiece receiver. As you pull the horn from the case, you'll need to have your mouthpiece as well. You're going to insert the shank of the mouthpiece into the lead pipe. And you're going to give it a small twist as you push. That'll help keep it from falling out. Now, when I twisted that mouthpiece, I twisted it about that much. Watch again from the side. Normally, you'd place the mouthpiece into the lead pipe as it's in this position, but for now, I'll angle it sideways so you can see how much I'm twisting. I put the mouthpiece in, I give it a little bit of a twist and a push, just that much. By twisting it as you push, it helps keep it from falling out. The second thing we need to do to assemble our instrument is to pull the main tuning slide out just a little bit. On the back of your instrument, you're going to have one or more slides like this. Now, in this particular horn, I have 2 slides. You might have 1 slide. You might have 3 slides, but however many slides you have back here, they should all be pulled out a little bit. Now, on this particular horn, for my way of playing, these are the positions I need for these slides. For you, I would say whatever slides you have, probably put them out about that far. This is out for me because I've played enough to know that I need it to be right there. But for you, I would say pull all your slides out about that far, about 1/4 of an inch. And the reason we pull these slides out just a little bit is because these are the temperature adjustment slides, the tuning slides, as we say. And the reason we need them is because on the inside of this instrument, it's filled with air. And if the air is hot or cold, it can change the pitch that we're getting. Think about it this, if you had helium inside your lungs, your voice would go higher, right? Helium rises, it's lighter than air. But hot air also rises. It's also less dense than regular air. So it would also cause your voice to go higher, at least a little bit. The same thing is true of this instrument. If I was playing outside and it was a really hot day and this was filled with really hot air, it would change the pitch. The pitch would go a little bit higher. If instead I had really cold air in this instrument, if I was playing in the middle of winter outside, I would have very lower sounds coming out of this instrument, slightly lower than normal. And so we can use these tuning slides to compensate for that by pulling out or pushing in. The room temperature setting is right here, out about 1/4 of an inch. And then we can push it in or pull it out for extreme temperatures. You might also notice that on the front of your instrument, there are also slides. These should also be pulled out about 1/4 of an inch, at least for now. We can find the exact precise location later, but as long as you keep the idea that every time you pull the instrument out, you need to have these slides pulled out about 1/4 of an inch, we should be in good shape. So, mouthpiece in position, slides pulled out 1/4 of an inch, we're ready to go. To hold the instrument, it's a little bit tricky, especially if you are a typical 10 or 11-year-old, because you're probably not really tall. And so getting this horn in position is a little bit of a challenge. What you'll need to do is get it in a position where the lead pipe is basically coming straight into your face. It could be at a slight downward angle, that's fine, but it can't be coming in like this or in like that. It needs to be straight into your face at a slight downward angle. The bell of the instrument needs to be off to the side, and we need to have our hand inside the bell at a precise spot. We talked about this a little bit in the instrument fitting video, but the horn has been designed with a specific shape of bell throat, the diameter of this, to accommodate your hand being inside of it. Your hand has to be in this for it to sound like a horn, and it's built for enough space for your hand to be in there. If you ever look at, for example, like a trumpet, they have a much narrower throat, and then it gets wider more quickly. This is wider for us because our hand has to fit inside. The reason for this is hundreds of years ago, before they had invented valves, horn players changed notes by changing their hand position right here in the bell. That's also why our right hand is on this side in the bell. Later on, when they invented valves, it made it a little bit easier to change notes, but we still kept the idea of the right hand being here because that's the characteristic sound of a horn. That's what we've associated with horns. That's what horns are supposed to sound like. So your right hand must be there. To find the position for your right hand, curve your hand slightly like this. But it's going to be a slight cupped hand, and you're going to insert your right hand into the bell on the outside. So if this is where your horn is, off to your side here, you're going to put your right hand in until the metal covers it up right to where the knuckles are. So don't have it way out here, don't have it way inside. It needs to be pushed in just until you get to the spot at which your knuckles will hit, right about there. The most important part is we need to make sure that our hand doesn't get tired and relaxed and start to fall down and cover up the hole. It's got to be open like this, our right hand on the outside. And that's where our right hand is going to be. For our left hand, our 3 fingers go on each of these 3 valves. And if you have a pinky ring here, your pinky goes in there. You probably also have a spot for your thumb to go. I have what's called a double horn, so I have an extra valve here for my thumb to operate. You may not have that, that's fine. You probably have something to put your thumb on though. This is going to be very different from other instruments in the brass family. If you play trumpet, for example, you do not use your thumb and pinky to lift up the instrument. But the horn is shaped differently. We do. So we will put our pinky in the pinky rest, unlike the trumpets, and we will use our hand to help support the instrument, unlike the trumpets. To find the best spot for where the horn is in relation to your body, start with a mouthpiece. It should be entering into your mouth, and again, straight in, not from side to side. It should go straight in. And again, at a slight downward angle. And then for the rest of the instrument, it should be off to the side. We want to make sure that this bell is free and clear of your body. Don't aim it at your body or nobody's going to hear you play. So have it off to the side of your body. And if you're a typical 10 or 11-year-old, it's going to feel huge. It's going to feel like this gigantic instrument, and that's okay. Basically, you just need to have it to your side. And if you're standing, you could support the weight of that bell with your right hand, but that's a little bit tricky. I would actually recommend sitting down to play the horn. The right bell is going to rest on your right knee. So go ahead and rest that bell on your knee. But if you're a typical 10 or 11-year-old, that would then put this way too high, and it's not going to work. So we can do two things. One option is to put our right leg farther away. So if you find that this is happening, put your right leg farther away, and all of a sudden now your horn mouthpiece is facing the correct spot of your face. So simply by pushing our right leg off to the side, that will help. The second thing you can try is you can take your right knee and put it basically almost straight at the ground. So if I lower my knee down quite a bit, boom, it's going to go lower, if that makes sense. So rest the bell on your knee and then simply either bring it out to the side or you can bring it down in front. I'm taller than you are. I'm 5'8", still short for an adult, but taller than a fifth grader. And I found that if I try to rest it on my leg, it's too low. So it's quite likely that by the time you get to high school, you're going to find that your position of resting this on your leg is too low. At that point, we can explore other options. I usually actually play horn by lifting it off my leg entirely, but that might get a little tiring for you. Another option is to find a little stool for your right foot to bring it up into position. Lots of possibilities. Don't worry about that. So off to the side, correct hand position. Let's try making some sounds. I would like you to bring your instrument up into playing position, bring it to you. Remember, we're not going to it. We're going to bring the instrument up into playing position, bring it to your face, and do an instant sound note. Produce sound right away and hold it steady and even. Let's see what note you get. I'll demonstrate. How did you do? Were you able to get a sound? If you found that you couldn't get a sound at first, you can go back to the air to sound exercise where you're blowing air, bring the lips together, and then you'll get that sound. Now, without pressing any valves down at all, because we're not using any valves at the moment, you might get one of several different notes. These are all called open notes, notes that we can play without using any valves at all. This week, we're not going to use any valves, but yet you'll still be able to play many different notes. I'm going to play right now several different notes that you might get on your instrument. So those three notes that I just played, the low, the middle, and the higher of the first three open notes that we play, they all actually have names as well, because in music, we give letter names to every note, A or B or C. And we had the low, the middle, and the higher of those three open notes. Those are a C, an E, and a G. To know which one is which, I recommend using the Bandmate app. So let's select horn in the instrument selection screen. You'll notice they say French horn. Yeah, it'll happen. People call it a French horn. We all know that the true name for this instrument is horn, but sometimes Americans call it a French horn, and that's fine. French horn. And then over here, we're going to set this switch on the side to the top position where it says has a little flat symbol. Looks like a pizza on a stick. Don't put it on the sharp symbol at the bottom, the one that looks like a hashtag. Let's keep it on top, right up there for the flat symbol. And then we can use this as we play to figure out which note we're playing. Having that Bandmate app is extremely important for horn players. One of the unique characteristics of the horn is that we can play a lot of different open notes without using any fingers at all, much more than any other brass instrument. And so as a result, we need to get really good at understanding which note is which as we play. And that's where Bandmate comes in handy. It'll tell you exactly which note you're playing. So each day, work on several different things. Start by warming up by working on the strength of being able to do instant sound, air to sound, try experimenting with the cheek puffing, and then do high jets, low jets, dropping bombs. Then you can put your instrument together. Make sure, as always, that you're sitting on the edge of the chair, left foot flat, right foot back. And right foot for you guys, again, is kind of off to the side to make sure we're not getting this. So have that right foot off to the side, or you can have that right foot down, pointed at the ground. But hold it correctly and then try to get different notes. This week, try to get at least 2 different open notes, the C and the E, or the E and the G. As always, all of these notes are going to be long and steady. Don't let them move around. Don't let them stop in the middle. So work on this every day, and you're going to get better and better. Until next time, go practice.